Aloha, good afternoon, and welcome to this Secret Art of Huna Live, where today I'm going to be talking about values. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Jane Lewis, and it's really a delight to spend some time with you, to hang out, and hopefully some of you will be live and making comments so I can engage with you. Anyway, today, values. Now, I've talked about values in the past, so it's not a new subject. But each time I share a subject that I've shared before, there's a new perspective, there's a new way of looking at it. And today I really wanted to talk about values and context, because our values are what are important to us. They provide a really deep level of motivation. Oh, and by the way, if you are on the Facebook Live, do give Ecamm permission, because then I can actually see you if you make comments, and I can see who you are. So values give us this deep level of motivation and this deep level of this sense of what's important. As I say, they're context dependent. So I wanted today to talk about values, both in the sense of life values and also values in the sense of career or business values, depending whether you work for somebody or whether you're self-employed. Now, different values will show up in different contexts, but sometimes we have a value or several values that are common across many contexts. And for me, one of those is joy. My life value, one of my life values is joy. I want joy in my life. And it's also a really important value in my business. I want to feel joy in my business, and I want to communicate joy in my business. And I have to say, at the moment, the autumn season here in the UK has been really, really stunning. We're getting some glorious colours. And that for me is a real source of joy. I've been really struck by the fact that some areas of the UK now are in lockdown, and some friends in Wales have actually asked me to post pictures of autumn leaves because they can't get out and experience the joy of the autumn in its fullest glory. So when we do have that opportunity to experience joy, it's just so special. Anyway, enough about that. Let's go back to the topic of values. So, why are values important? Well, as I say, the main thing about values is that they provide us with motivation, and it's a very deep, unconscious level of motivation. So the more we can do to uncover them, then the better able we are to understand what motivates us, understand why we procrastinate, because I don't know about you, but I can do procrastination like an Olympic champion on a good day. So it helps us understand why we procrastinate, if I could even say that word. As I say, it helps us understand our level of motivation, and it helps us understand what we need to pay attention to. Because just because something is important to me may not necessarily mean that I'm really giving it the time and the attention that I want. So very often in business, in life, in career, in relationships, in whatever, we are held up when we have what we call a values conflict. So let's say in relationship, I have a strong value on spending time with my partner, and I'm not actually spending time with my partner, then it can create kind of almost a conflict, because it's something I want to do. It's important to me, but I'm not doing it. Same in career. So some people have career values, or that family is actually part of a career value. What's important to you about your career? Time with my family. So if they're not spending time with the family, then this can set up a conflict. Sometimes our values themselves are in conflict with one another. I used to have a real conflict back when I was working. I had a real conflict around independence. I wanted freedom, independence, but at the same time, I wanted a challenge, and somehow for me there's an inconsistency. How could I have challenge and freedom and independence? So sometimes we can get conflicts in our values. So my life values, as I say, one of my life values is joy. And it's really it's really useful. And you know what? I've suddenly realised I'm losing the plot a bit here. So let's own it. Let's admit it. And let's talk about what I really wanted to talk about, which, as I say, it is values, but I've lost the plot slightly today. So there we go. It happens. It happens from time to time. So let's talk about how you discover your values. Now, you probably know this anyway, but the big question to ask is what's important to you about? Could be what's important to you about life, what's important to you, thanks for the love, what's important to you about life, what's important to you about your career, your relationships, your money, your health and fitness, your spiritual development. So any area of life really that you want to focus on. So what's important? Because the things that are important, as I say, mostly are the things that are going to motivate us and the things that we would expect to spend time, energy, and possibly even money on. So in the different areas of your life, you will have different values. Question, what's important to me about? And do it quickly. I see so many people who are doing values work and it's what's important to me about, and there's an essay that comes out. No. You need to do this really fast. It's unconscious. The unconscious mind works way faster than the conscious mind. If you're doing it slowly, you're probably doing it consciously. You want to do it fast and do it unconsciously. So what's important to me? Write it down. Do. Make a quick list. And once you've made a quick list, and you're aiming for words, single words for preference, abstracts, things you can't put in a wheelbarrow, things you can't touch. So communication, challenge, freedom, joy. Definitely can't put joy in a wheelbarrow. Unless it's a human joy. I mean, a person called joy. But anyway, in general, you can't put joy in a wheelbarrow. So what are those? You want these, as we say, abstract nouns. So they'll often end in ation, communication, relationship, that sort of there. So abstract nouns, you can't put them in a wheelbarrow, and you want a list. And you may initially come up with a list probably about 12, 15, maybe. And you want to boil that list down because none of us can really be motivated by 12, 15 things that are important. So what you do, put them in order of preference. What's your priority? Ask this very simple question. If I could only have one of these on my list, what would it be? And then if you got that one and you can have one other, what would it be? And so you make a list. And really what's going to motivate you are the top 5 on your list. Now, as I say, life values may be different from career values. Some of them may be the same. There may be a crossover. But one of the things in career and in business, the more you understand your values, the more you understand your motivation, the more you start to understand why you're getting hiccups, why you're not able to up level. Because if you can't honor your values, if you can't satisfy your values, it's going to be difficult to up level. As I say, for years, one of my highest career values, it isn't anymore, but one of my highest career values was freedom. But I always felt constrained. I couldn't figure a way in the context of my career to find the freedom that I wanted, to express myself, to do what I wanted, to go part-time and all sorts of other things. But I couldn't find that freedom. So I was permanently bumping up against the fact that my freedom value wasn't satisfied. Sometimes I've got lots of hearts. Oh, I love you all. Thank you. Sometimes in as I say, in career, you bump up against things. For example, for a lot of people in their career, money is important. Now, if you're not making the money that you want to make in your career, and money is a value for you, then you're not going to feel a lot of satisfaction in your career if money is a high value. And, by the way, if you don't have money as a career value or some money, financial reward, then you're either a complete philanthropist or maybe you need to look at your value set. Because if you're working, particularly if you're working for yourself, if you're working for somebody else, and money isn't in there, and you're having an experience where your money doesn't, hi Sheila, where your income isn't really matching your needs, might be because money isn't in your career values, or if you're self-employed or an entrepreneur, your business values. Really, really useful one to look at. Is money in my values? High. If it is, how high is it? If it's not, should it be there? And there's work that you can do to change your values, but I'm not really focusing on that today. What I'm really focusing on is ways of making your values work for you. So as I say, in career values, look for money and see if it's in there, because it's one of the biggest dissatisfiers. So if your career's going quite well, but if you're not getting the money that you want, it can really, really pull a punch. So hi, Tina. So money in the context, for example, of life, then longevity or health and vitality, you would normally expect to see that in your life values. So if it's not in there, then and you're not having a good health and vitality experience, then it might be that you haven't actually put enough importance on it in your life as a whole. So all these values can really give you hints and information. If you have a high value on something, let's say you have a high value in your career on self-development, learning, growth, whatever your words are for that, and you're not spending time on self-development. Perhaps you're working for an organization that doesn't let you spend time on self-development. Perhaps you're so busy in developing your business that you don't have time to focus on self-development. So if you've got a high value on self-development in your career, but you can't spend time, or you haven't been spending time, energy, money on developing that, then that's going to set up a conflict for you, because I want this, but I'm not getting it. You can bump up against it. So looking at the values, looking at how much time you're spending on those values in your list, and seeing whether all those values are getting satisfied is a really useful way of figuring out what might or might be going wrong, might or might not be going wrong in particular areas of life. When I used to do a lot of career coaching, one of the exercises I would do is I would invite people to have their list of values and then score them in terms of their career. So let's say you've got a list of 8 career values, 8 things that are really important to me in my career. For each one, score it. Marks out of 10. How far does your career or your business, if it's your business, how far does my business actually satisfy that value? Because if your career or business doesn't satisfy a high order value, so something in the top 5, top 8 possibly, then you're going to bump against it. You're going to feel levels of dissatisfaction. And you can do this in relationship, you can do it in health and vitality, you can do it in all areas of your life. So what you're bumping up against, what's not getting satisfied, what's not getting airtime, if you like, what are you not focusing energy on, which is important to you? Now, there's one argument that goes, well, if you're not spending energy on it, then it's not that important. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think sometimes we get distracted by life. Sometimes there are things that are really important and we struggle to spend time and energy on it. And for me, that's when conflict really comes in. I found it for myself and I found it with clients that something is important, I can't spend time on it. That sets up a conflict for me. So that's what I do with values. That's how I use values to myself, use values with other people. Hope it's been interesting, and apologies for the slight hitch at the beginning of the conversation. And if you want to book a call, if you want to talk about values, if you're struggling with your values, if you're bouncing up against your values, because you've realized that there's something that's important to you, but you can't spend the time and the energy, and you want help with doing that, then do get in touch. You can either leave a message on the page, you can contact me, secretartofhuna.com/diary. You can see me in LinkedIn now. Sheila, you can see me in LinkedIn now. Jane P. Lewis is my LinkedIn name, whatever. And I will talk to you very, very soon. Lots of love. Take care.